So this reality brings to question this notion of vulnerability. So as a public health person, I've always been firm in stating that the people, particularly communities that have suffered disproportionately over centuries and decades of trauma, slavery, genocide, racism, that the people are not the issue. The people have and been and will continue to be resilient. But the real vulnerability is at the system level. So the question is, how do we begin to recreate, adjust, disrupt the many systems that we rely on to protect the health of the public and ready ourselves for climate change? That depends on leaders and educators and practitioners like you to make these systems, to force these systems, to actually advocate for these systems to be more resilient, to serve their purpose and protect the health of the people that we care about. Next slide. So when we talk about systems, healthcare, education, criminal justice, government, who benefits is a critical outcome, right? So as this diagram shows, which some of you may have seen, and there have been many iterations of it over the past several years, but just by making systems equal will not allow everyone to benefit. Hence, let's think about the high-risk populations that we talked about, those that are at risk because systems have already failed them. And they now have this other added layer of stress from climate change. So they're not going to benefit from receiving the same set of supports or resources as another person or another community. So we begin to address the benefits by looking at it through an equity frame where people get the unique resources that they deserve, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. But the overall goal, I believe, is to get to a place, again, way on the right side of this diagram, where we don't need any accommodations for anyone, where the system works for everyone, where there's no barriers. And that is why moving on the social justice imperative is foundational in addressing the impacts of climate change on health.